The council chamber was packed beyond capacity. News of Alan Wright's encounter with the Krellian razor beast had spread throughout the station. The security footage played on a large screen for all to see, a simple human botanist calming one of the most feared predators in 3 sectors. Elder Krillnax called the emergency session to order. In light of recent events, we must revisit our discussion of Earth's membership petition. The members of the Purity Coalition had been identified and were now standing trial in a separate chamber. Their plot had failed spectacularly, only serving to strengthen the humans' position. Ambassador Nguyen stood proudly with the Earth delegation. Besides her stood John with Artemis, and Alan, who had become an overnight sensation. The botanist looked somewhat embarrassed by all the attention. This incident proves beyond doubt that humans possess remarkable abilities. Elder Krillnax announced. Not only can they form bonds with their own world's predators, but they can also apparently calm beasts they have never encountered before. Counselor Zexterra, who had initially fainted at the sight of Artemis, now approached the human delegation. I must admit I was wrong. What I witnessed was not a sign of human recklessness, but rather a unique gift. The crystal being counselor, previously so opposed to humans, spoke next. My people have spent 10,000 years avoiding predators. Humans have spent their evolution befriending them. This difference is worthy of respect. Elder Krillnax raised all 4 hands for silence. I call for a final vote on Earth's petition to join the Galactic Alliance. This time, the vote was quick and nearly unanimous. Earth would be welcomed as the Alliance's newest member, with a special designation never given before, Guardian Species. What does this designation mean? Ambassador Nguyen asked. It means, Elder Krillnax explained, that humans will have special responsibilities and privileges within the Alliance. Your unique abilities with dangerous fauna make you invaluable for wildlife management across the galaxy. John smiled. So we're basically going to be space zookeepers. That is one way to describe it, Elder Krillnax agreed. There are many worlds where dangerous species threaten settlements or where endangered predators need protection. Your skills will be highly valued. The formal ceremony to welcome Earth took place the following day. The humans stood proudly as they accepted their new position in the galactic community. Artemis wore a special collar made by the finest craftspeople on the station, signifying her status as the first Earth animal to be recognized by the Council. In the weeks that followed, John and Artemis became celebrities across the Alliance. They were invited to diplomatic functions specifically to demonstrate the unique human-animal bond. Children from various species would gather around, watching in awe as the massive tiger responded to John's gentle commands. Alan Wright established the first Galactic Wildlife Rehabilitation Center on the station. The Krellian razor beast, now named Buddy, remained by his side as a living example of cross-species bonding. Alien scientists came from across the galaxy to study their methods. A new scientific field emerged, xenozoology, the study of alien animal behavior and psychology. Humans became the leaders in this field, their natural affinity for animal companionship giving them unique insights. 6 months after that first dramatic meeting, John sat in a garden on the Council homeworld. Artemis lounged beside him in the warm sunshine, her orange and black coat gleaming. A group of young aliens approached cautiously, accompanied by their teacher. Mr. Carter, the teacher asked, would you mind showing my students how you communicate with your Earth predator? They're studying human-animal bonds in their xenobiology class. John smiled and nodded. Of course. Would you like to meet Artemis? She's very friendly. The young aliens moved closer, a mixture of fear and fascination on their faces. John guided them, showing them how to approach, where to scratch behind Artemis's ears, how to recognize her different purrs and growls. As he watched the children gradually relax around the tiger, John thought about how far they had come. From causing panic in the council chamber to teaching alien children about Earth's unique relationship with animals, it had been quite a journey. Across the galaxy, humanity's reputation grew. They were the species who didn't conquer predators. but befriended them. They were the guardians, the protectors, the ones who saw value in every form of life. And it had all started with one man and his tiger, stepping through an airlock into history. While the council deliberated on Earth's petition, a small group of aliens gathered in a shadowy corner of the station. They belonged to the Purity Coalition, a fringe group that opposed adding new species to the Galactic Alliance. "This cannot be allowed," hissed Meklar, their leader. "Humans are too dangerous to join our peaceful community." "The council seems swayed by their ability to control predators," said another member. "We must show them the truth." Meklar's eyes narrowed. "I have a plan. The humans cannot truly control predators. It must be some trick or temporary measure. We will expose them." The plan was simple yet devious. The station maintained a wildlife preserve for research purposes. Among the specimens was a Krellian razor beast, a predator known for its aggressive nature and resistance to most control methods. The coalition would release it near the human quarters. When the beast attacks the humans, the council will see their supposed mastery of predators is a lie. Meklar explained. They will be rejected. That night, while most of the station slept, they put their plan into action. The razor beast was carefully transported to the human section using service tunnels. With a remote command, they opened its cage outside the quarters of Alan Wright, the botanist who had joined the delegation to study alien plant life. The beast moved silently on 6 muscular legs, its scales gleaming under the dim night lighting. It had evolved as an ambush hunter, with powerful jaws and a venomous bite. The coalition members watched from a safe distance, recording everything. Inside his room, Alan was working late, examining plant samples collected from the station's gardens. He had no combat training, no weapons, and no predator companion like John. He was the perfect target. The door slid open as the beast overrode the simple lock with its claws. Alan looked up, startled, as the creature entered his room. "Oh," he exclaimed, showing surprise but not the terror the coalition members expected. "Hello there. Where did you come from?" The razor beast growled, a low sound that would make most beings freeze in fear. Instead, Alan slowly stood, keeping his movements calm and deliberate. "You're a long way from home, aren't you?" he said softly. "Are you hungry? Lost?" The beast crouched, ready to pounce. Alan reached into his pocket and pulled out his lunch container. He opened it and set it on the floor. "Here you go. It's not much, but it's better than nothing." The razor beast sniffed the air, confused by this prey that wasn't running or showing fear. It took a cautious step forward. "That's it," Alan encouraged. "Easy now." From their hiding spot, the coalition members watched in disbelief. The human was talking to the beast, as if it were a lost child. Alan sat cross-legged on the floor, still talking in a soft, soothing voice. The beast approached the food, then looked at Alan with suspicious eyes. "You're just scared, aren't you?" Alan said. "Strange place, strange smells. I get it." To the coalition's horror, Alan began to hum a gentle tune. The razor beast's aggressive posture gradually relaxed as it listened. "Back home, I used to rescue stray cats," Alan explained, though the beast couldn't understand his words. "You remind me of a tomcat I once found," all hiss and fury until he realized I wasn't a threat. Slowly, incredibly, the deadly predator began to calm. It ate the food Alan had offered then, to the watching alien's absolute shock, approached the human carefully. Alan held out his hand, palm down, letting the creature sniff him. "That's right. I'm not going to hurt you." By the time station security arrived, alerted by the security breach, they found an astonishing sight. Alan Wright, botanist with no combat training, sitting on his floor with the razor beast curled contentedly in his lap as he stroked its scaled head. "Oh, hello," Alan said to the security team, who stood frozen in the doorway with weapons drawn. "Is this fellow yours? He broke into my room. Friendly little guy once he calmed down. Can I keep him?" The security cameras had captured everything. Within minutes, the footage was being sent to every member of the council. The Purity Coalition's plan had backfired spectacularly. The full Galactic Council reconvened the next day. All 27 species were present, with additional observers crowding the upper galleries. News of the humans and their animal companions had spread throughout the station, and everyone wanted to witness the historic debate. Elder Krillnax called the session to order. We gather to discuss Earth's petition to join the Galactic Alliance. The floor is open for statements. Ambassador Nguyen stood ready to speak for Earth, but the council members had much to say first. Councillor Zexterra, who had fainted upon first seeing Artemis, was the first to speak. I must express my grave concerns about admitting humans to our peaceful alliance. Any species that finds comfort in the presence of killing machines must possess violent tendencies themselves. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. John, sitting with the Earth delegation, and Artemis by his side, felt his hopes sinking. Another counselor, a being made of what looked like living crystal, chimed in. I agree. Their comfort with predators suggests they themselves are predators. My people evolved as prey species. We would feel threatened by human presence. They are unpredictable, added a counselor resembling a giant slug. Our scientists report they form emotional bonds with creatures that could easily kill them. This defies logical behavior. John looked at Ambassador Nguyen, who seemed worried. The arguments were mounting against them. But then, a new voice spoke up. I must offer a different perspective, said a small counselor with features like a deer. My people also evolved as prey, yet we see something remarkable in human behavior. The chamber grew quiet, listening. Most intelligent species that evolve to dominance exterminate competing predators. The deer-like counselor continued. We did. Many of you did. Yet humans protect theirs, form bonds with them, and mourn when these species decline. This shows an ethical complexity we should admire, not fear. Elder Krillnax nodded thoughtfully. An interesting point, Counselor Ilara. Let us hear from the Security Assessment Division. Commander Vexul stepped forward. Our analysis suggests humans should be classified as a potential guardian species. Their abilities to form peaceful relationships with dangerous creatures could be valuable throughout the galaxy. This caused a stir in the chamber. Guardian species was a rare designation. Ridiculous, shouted the crystal being. They are clearly a danger. Perhaps we should see more evidence, Elder Krillnax suggested. Human John, your companion has remained calm throughout these proceedings. How do you explain this? John stood, gently patting Artemis's head as he did. Artemis understands that I am relaxed, so she remains relaxed too. Our relationship is built on mutual trust and respect. But the creature could kill you in seconds, pointed out the crystal counselor. She could, John acknowledged, just as any of us could harm others if we wanted to. The point is that she chooses not to. Just like most intelligent beings choose cooperation over violence. At that moment, one of the observers brought forward video footage. It showed Kate Patterson, the zoologist, caring for her wolf cubs. The footage had been captured the previous night. Kate sat on the floor of her quarters, 3 small wolf pups crawling over her lap as she fed them from bottles. This human female cares for infant predators as if they were her own offspring, announced Science Officer Prill. Our scans detect maternal bonding hormones. She loves these creatures that other species would destroy out of fear. Elder Krillnax watched the footage with all 4 of his eyes. Is this typical human behavior? Yes, John said. On Earth, we have thousands of wildlife rehabilitators who care for injured or orphaned animals, including predators. We believe all species have value. Counselor Ilara's ears perked up. I move that we recognize humans as potential allies. A species that protects rather than destroys those with the power to harm them demonstrates wisdom we could all learn from. I second this motion, said a previously silent counselor from the upper tier. Elder Krillnax looked around the chamber. The motion has been made and seconded. We will now vote on whether to continue formal alliance discussions with Earth. The voting process began, with each counselor pressing symbols on their consoles. John held his breath, one hand resting on Artemis's worn fur. Ambassador Nguyen stood tall, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. Far from the main council chambers, in a secure room deep within the station, a group of alien officials gathered in secret. They represented the Security Assessment Division, a branch of the council responsible for evaluating potential threats to galactic peace. "Display the footage again," ordered Commander Vexul, a gray-skinned being with 4 arms and eyes that could see across multiple spectrums. The holographic display in the center of the room activated, showing John sleeping peacefully in his assigned quarters. Artemis lay curled around him on the bed, her massive body forming a protective circle. When a maintenance droid had entered the room to adjust the environmental controls, the tiger had immediately raised her head, eyes tracking every movement until the droid left. "Fascinating," whispered Science Officer Prill. "The Predator maintains guard duty while the human sleeps." "Not just fascinating. Terrifying," said Security Chief Dorn, a heavily armored reptilian being. "Consider the implications. These humans have evolved on a world so dangerous that they form alliances with apex predators for protection." Commander Vexul tapped a command into the console, changing the display to show footage of the other human-animal pairs. "Look at the diversity of creatures they control. Airborne hunters, poisonous constrictors, swift 4-legged pursuit predators. And they bring these creatures into their homes, their sleeping quarters," added intelligence analyst Mira, her antenna twitching nervously. "They treat death itself as a companion." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Commander Vexul spoke. "Our preliminary threat assessment must be revised. Humans must be reclassified from potential allies to predator diplomats. Their natural ability to dominate other predator species suggests capabilities we do not yet understand." Security Chief Dorn slammed a clawed hand on the table. "We should recommend immediate containment protocols. Any species that casually bonds with killing machines cannot be trusted." "I disagree," said Science Officer Prill. "My analysis suggests these bonds are not about dominance but cooperation. The stress hormones in both humans and their animals indicate mutual affection." "Affection," scoffed Dorn. "For death beasts." "Yes," Prill insisted, "and that makes them even more remarkable. Consider, rather than exterminating dangerous species as most intelligent races do, humans instead form emotional attachments to them. This suggests advanced ethical development." Mira pulled up her own data display. "Our cultural analysis supports this. Human broadcasts show they maintain vast areas called wildlife preserves, specifically to protect predator species that could easily kill them." The security team continued reviewing footage, including a clip of Kate Patterson, the human zoologist, bottle-feeding baby wolves in her lab on the human ship. The tiny predators, with their sharp teeth already visible, nuzzled against her hands like helpless infants. "Look at this behavior," Mira pointed out. "The human displays parental care toward infant predators of a species that historically competed with humans." Commander Vexul leaned back, his 4 hands forming a traditional posture of deep thought. "The strategic implications are clear. Any species capable of turning natural predators into allies would make either a powerful friend or devastating enemy." "Your recommendation, Commander?" asked Dorn. "We suggest immediate alliance rather than confrontation," Vexul said firmly. "Furthermore, I recommend we classify humans as a guardian species with potential value in handling dangerous wildlife throughout the galaxy." "Guardian species?" Dorn seemed shocked. "That designation has only been given to 3 species in Council history. And now a 4th, Vexul confirmed. "Any objections?" The room remained silent. Finally, Mira spoke. "I'll prepare the official report for the High Council, but I suggest we include a formal warning as well. Humans appear peaceful, but their comfort with predators suggests they themselves may be predators of the highest order. ones who have evolved beyond the need to appear threatening. Vexil nodded. Agreed. Our report will recommend alliance but caution. The humans must never be provoked. As they finished their meeting, on the security screen behind them, John could be seen playing with Artemis. The massive tiger was on her back, batting playfully at a toy John dangled above her, massive paws gentle as they swatted the air. The sight of such a fearsome predator acting like a kitten was perhaps the most unsettling image of all. Elder Krillnax called for a brief recess after the demonstration. The council members needed time to process what they had witnessed. The Earth delegation was escorted to a waiting area, a large room with comfortable seating arranged in various shapes to accommodate different alien physiologies. That went better than I expected, John said, sitting on a bench with Artemis stretched out at his feet. Ambassador Nguyen raised an eyebrow. Better. Half the council nearly had heart attacks. But no one died, Captain Rivers pointed out with a wry smile. I'd call that a win. A small delegation of alien scientists approached, keeping a respectful distance from Artemis. Their leader, a tall being with skin that shifted colors like an octopus, bowed slightly. I am lead biologist Zinvora of the Science Council, the alien said. We request permission to observe your interaction with the predator more closely. Her name is Artemis, John reminded gently. And yes, you can observe us, as long as you don't do anything to make her nervous. The scientists moved closer, scanning devices in their many hands. One held something that looked like a tablet, recording everything. Artemis watched them with mild interest, but remained relaxed. Remarkable, Zinvora said. Our readings show the creature, Artemis, has stress hormone levels consistent with complete relaxation. Yet her natural instincts should identify us as potential prey. That's because she's been socialized, John explained. From a young age, she learned that other intelligent beings aren't food or threats. Another scientist, shorter with translucent skin through which John could see pulsing organs, asked, "Can we see more examples of human-animal bonds? Your presentation was illuminating, but difficult to believe." Ambassador Nguyen nodded. We anticipated your curiosity. We've arranged for several other human-animal teams to demonstrate their relationships. She activated her datapad, connecting to the ship. They're ready for transport now. Within minutes, 5 more humans arrived through the station's transport system. Each was accompanied by an animal. The aliens gasped as the newcomers entered the room. Richard Johnson walked in with Max, his German Shepherd police dog. Susan Miller carried a large hawk on her gloved arm. Kyle Peters led a small pony. Maria Garcia had a large snake draped around her shoulders. Then Lewis walked beside a black panther, smaller than Artemis, but no less impressive. The alien scientists looked like they might faint. These are representatives of our animal partnership program, Ambassador Nguyen explained. Each will demonstrate different types of human-animal relationships. Richard stepped forward first. I'm Officer Johnson. This is Max, my partner in the police force. He's trained to find missing people, detect illegal substances, and apprehend dangerous criminals. To demonstrate, Richard set up a small exercise. He had one of the Earth delegation hide a small object, then commanded Max to find it. The dog immediately went to work, sniffing around the room before locating the item under a chair. The aliens watched in amazement as Max retrieved it and brought it directly to Richard, wagging his tail happily when praised. The canine shows clear working intelligence, Zinvor noted, and obvious emotional attachment to its human. Susan demonstrated next, showing how her hawk, a red-tailed species named Sky, would fly to her arm on command. The sight of a predatory bird swooping through the room caused several aliens to duck in alarm. On Earth, humans have practiced falconry for thousands of years, Susan explained. Birds of prey help us hunt and control pest populations. Ben and his panther, Shadow, showed how even big cats smaller than Artemis could be trained to perform complex behaviors. Shadow jumped through hoops and balanced on platforms at Ben's direction. What we're trying to show you, John explained as the demonstrations continued, is that Earth's relationship with animals is unique and diverse. We don't just survive alongside predators. We form partnerships with them. Elder Krillnax, who had been watching silently from the doorway, finally spoke. The Council requests a formal cultural exchange program. We must understand this phenomenon better. Ambassador Nguyen smiled. We would be delighted to arrange that. As they prepared to return to the council chamber, John noticed the aliens' expressions had changed. There was still fear, yes, but now there was also unmistakable respect. The council chamber was enormous, a perfect circle with tiered seating rising in concentric rings. Representatives from 27 different species sat in their designated areas, many standing up and murmuring as the Earth delegation entered with Artemis. The massive tiger walked calmly beside John, seemingly uninterested in the commotion she was causing. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform where Ambassador Nguyen was directed to speak. John and Artemis were asked to stand slightly behind her, in full view of all council members. Security guards with weapons stood at alert around the edges of the platform. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Nguyen began, her voice steady despite the tension. We come in peace as representatives of Earth. We are honored to be considered for membership in your alliance. A tall, thin alien with 6 eyes interrupted. Is it standard diplomatic protocol on Earth to bring killing machines to peaceful meetings? Nervous laughter rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Nguyen looked to John for help. John stepped forward. Artemis is not a killing machine. She is a companion animal. On Earth, humans have lived alongside many species for thousands of years. But that is a predator, called out another voice. Our scans show it has killing teeth and claws capable of tearing through metal. Through metal? John couldn't help but smile. That's a bit exaggerated. But yes, tigers are predators. They're also endangered on our world. We protect them. Elder Krillnax raised a hand for silence. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Human John, show us how you control this beast. John nodded and turned to Artemis. Sit. Artemis immediately sat on her haunches, watching John attentively. Lie down, John commanded gently. The tiger stretched out on the floor, her massive paws extended in front of her. Roll over. Artemis rolled onto her back, exposing her belly, a position of complete trust for a predator. Gasps echoed around the chamber. John reached down and scratched her belly, causing Artemis to close her eyes in pleasure. Impossible, whispered a counselor. It behaves like a non-predator species. May I approach? Asked a small furry alien that reminded John of a koala. Of course, John said. Artemis, stay. The koala-like alien cautiously approached. When it was about 5 feet away, Artemis turned her head to look at it. The alien froze. It's okay, John reassured. She's just curious. The alien took another hesitant step forward. Artemis yawned, her enormous teeth briefly visible. The alien squeaked in fear, but held its ground. How do you do this? Do humans possess mental control abilities? The alien asked. John laughed. No, nothing like that. It's trust and conditioning. Artemis knows I will protect her, and she protects me. We've raised her from a cub. She sees me as family. Family. The word echoed through translators around the room. Ambassador Nguyen seized the opportunity. Yes, on Earth, many humans consider their animal companions to be family members. We call them pets. It's a form of mutual companionship. Lisa activated her datapad and projected images around the chamber. Dogs playing with children, cats sleeping on laps, falconers with birds of prey on their arms, people holding snakes and lizards. These are all pets, asked Elder Krillnax incredulously. Yes, John confirmed. Many are domesticated over generations. Others, like Artemis, are wild animals that bonded with humans. We even have working animals that help us with tasks. A blue tentacled being floated forward. This is unprecedented. Our research indicated humans were intelligent, but nothing suggested you could control apex predators through family bonds. We don't control them, John corrected. We build relationships with them. To demonstrate, John sat on the floor beside Artemis. The tiger immediately shifted her position to lay her head in his lap. The entire council watched in silence as John stroked her fur and Artemis began to purr, a deep, rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate through the chamber. "Can you hear that?" John asked. "That's the sound tigers make when they're content. She trusts me completely." "And you trusted her?" asked the koala alien, who had backed away to a safer distance. "With my life," John replied simply. The council chamber fell into stunned silence, broken only by the continuing purr of Earth's apex predator lounging contentedly in the lap of a human. The tall, mantis-like alien screeched in what John could only assume was terror, the floating jellyfish being rapidly changed colors from a calm blue to an alarming red. Two smaller green aliens with 4 arms each immediately dove behind a decorative plant. The entire welcoming area erupted into panic within seconds of John and Artemis stepping through the airlock. "Death Beast among us," shouted a translator device worn by one of the more humanoid aliens, a slender, purple-skinned being who was backing away so quickly it stumbled over its own feet. Security doors slammed shut throughout the chamber. Lights flashed in patterns John guessed were some kind of emergency code. A voice boomed over speakers in multiple languages, with the universal translator on John's wrist converting it to English. "Remain calm. Security protocols activated. Predator containment teams en route." Ambassador Nguyen spun around, her face a mix of shock and anger. "Carter, what's happening?" John kept one hand firmly on Artemis's side, feeling the tiger's muscles tense under his fingers. "Stay calm," he told both the tiger and the ambassador. "She's sensing their fear. I need everyone to act normal." Captain Rivers stepped forward, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. "There's no danger. The animal is tame." A bluish force field suddenly sprung up around John and Artemis, separating them from the rest of the Earth delegation. John could see armored figures rushing into the chamber, carrying what looked like capture poles and energy weapons. Artemis growled low in her throat, but remained firmly by John's side as he had trained her. He knelt beside her, speaking soothingly. "Easy, girl. We're okay." An alien with features resembling an owl stepped forward cautiously. It wore elaborate robes decorated with symbols that John guessed signified authority. The owl-like being studied them through the force field, its head tilting in a manner surprisingly similar to Earth owls. "You control this thing?" the alien asked through its translator, voice filled with disbelief. "Her name is Artemis," John said calmly. "She's a Siberian tiger from Earth, and yes, she is under my control. She's my companion." The owl alien blinked several times. "Impossible. That is a Void Fang-class predator. Our biological archives show these creatures hunt and consume beings of sentient size." At that moment, Counselor Zexterra of the Vosgian Federation, a tall being with iridescent scales and delicate fins, pushed through the gathering crowd to see what was causing the commotion. Upon seeing Artemis, the counselor's eyes rolled back, and the alien collapsed in a dead faint. More commotion followed as attendants rushed to help the fallen counselor. John sighed. This was not going as planned. "Please," he said loudly. "There's no danger. Artemis is domesticated. She's been with me since she was a cub." The owl alien, who John now noticed wore a badge identifying it as Elder Ambassador Krillnax, stepped closer to the force field. "You raised a death beast from infancy, voluntarily." "She was orphaned," John explained. "I worked at a wildlife rehabilitation center. Her mother was killed by poachers. She imprinted on me." Ambassador Nguyen had recovered her composure and approached the barrier. "Elder Krillnax, I sincerely apologize for the alarm. We didn't realize tigers would cause such distress. On Earth, Many species keep predators as companions. Many species. The elder's voice rose in pitch. You mean to tell me this is common practice? John nodded. Dogs, cats, birds of prey, reptiles. Humans have formed bonds with many predator species. The fallen counselor was being revived with something that resembled smelling salts. Other aliens were whispering frantically among themselves. John could see recording devices pointed at him and Artemis from all directions. Ambassador Nguyen attempted to salvage the diplomatic situation. Perhaps we could continue this discussion in the council chamber. I assure you, Artemis poses no threat. Elder Krillnax made a gesture, and the force field dropped. The council must witness this. Unprecedented behavior. Follow me, but keep that creature restrained. John scratched Artemis behind the ears. Good girl, he whispered. You're making quite the first impression. The Earth delegation followed the Elder through wide corridors, aliens scrambling out of their path when they spotted Artemis. John could see curiosity replacing fear in some eyes, though most still kept a very safe distance. The Grand Council chamber awaited them. And with it, 27 species about to have their understanding of humanity forever changed. John Carter stood at the viewport of the U.S. horizon, watching the stars stretch into lines as the ship prepared to exit faster than light travel. His fingers absently stroked the thick orange and black fur of the massive creature by his side. Artemis, his 180-pound Siberian tiger, purred contentedly at his touch. Are you ready for this, girl? John whispered. You're about to be the first tiger to meet aliens. Artemis yawned, displaying impressive fangs that had caused 3 separate security officers to request John keep her muzzled during the journey. He had refused each time. The bond between them required trust, and Artemis had never given him reason to doubt her. The ship shuddered slightly as it dropped back into normal space. Before them loomed the massive structure known as Harmony Station, home of the Galactic Council. The sprawling space station resembled a silver snowflake, with 6 giant arms extending from a central hub that glowed with blue-green light. John's communication device buzzed. Mr. Carter, Ambassador Nguyen requests your presence in the briefing room. Final preparations for first contact are underway, said the crisp voice of the ship's eye. Tell her I'll be right there, John replied. He gave Artemis a final pat. Come on, girl. Time to make history. The briefing room buzzed with nervous energy when John arrived with Artemis padding silently beside him. Several crew members still shifted uncomfortably when the tiger entered, but after 3 weeks in space together, most had grown accustomed to her presence. Lisa Nguyen, Earth's lead ambassador, was reviewing holographic displays of alien species. She glanced up as John entered. There you are. The Council has approved our landing request. We dock in 30 minutes. Her eyes fell to Artemis. Are you absolutely certain about bringing her? John nodded firmly. My paperwork is in order. Artemis is registered as my emotional support animal. The treaty clearly states accommodations must be made for cultural and medical necessities. Lisa sighed. I know what the documents say, John. I'm concerned about the practical implications. We know nothing about how these species will react to Earth predators. Captain Frank Rivers joined them, his weathered face serious. The ambassador has a point. This is humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Council. We can't afford any incidents. With all due respect, Captain, John said, Artemis is better behaved than most humans. She follows commands perfectly and has never shown aggression without cause. He placed his hand on the tiger's head, who looked up at him with clear devotion. Besides, my role is to demonstrate humanity's unique relationship with Earth's wildlife. What better way than this? Captain Rivers and Ambassador Nguyen exchanged looks, but they knew the decision had already been approved by Earth Command. They needed John's expertise in xenobiology, and his condition for joining the mission had been non-negotiable. Artemis comes too. Very well, Lisa finally said, but she stays by your side at all times. First sign of trouble, and she returns to the ship. Agreed, John said, scratching behind Artemis's ear. The ship docked with a gentle bump. The delegation gathered at the airlock. 12 humans representing Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts. John and Artemis took their place at the rear of the group. Through the small window, John could see the welcoming committee. 8 different alien species stood in ordered rows, their appearances varying wildly from humanoid to utterly foreign. One resembled a tall praying mantis, another looked like a floating jellyfish, while others seemed almost human except for unusual skin colors or extra limbs. "Remember," Ambassador Nguyen addressed the group, "these beings have been monitoring our broadcasts for decades. They're fascinated by us, but also wary. Earth sits in what they call the Forbidden Zone, planets with conditions they consider extremely hostile. To them, we evolved on a death world." The airlock cycled open with a hiss. Ambassador Nguyen stepped forward first, her voice clear and confident as she recited the official greeting. The delegation followed one by one. When John's turn came, he took a deep breath and stepped through with Artemis, walking majestically beside him. He had just enough time to register the look of shock spreading across the alien faces before the chamber erupted into chaos.